this was a interesting story. And like I said, we have our customers. Chris and I would visit sometimes together, but one of my customers was NTT Docomo. I went to their data center, and again, this is like 25 years ago, but I went to their data center, and it was a disaster. But it's not because they were bad at it. Everyone was bad.
Standard was that.
It was just terrible.
Everybody sucked.
Right? And talked to them about best practices, and they're like, okay, Belady-san, we're going to do your best practices. I mean, they were really wonderful people. They were so open to actually experimenting. So I loved them for that. And they said, we'll do everything you say in your best practices, but in 3 months after we do it, we want you to come back.
And see how effective it is.
See how effective it is. I mean, there were crazy things that people were doing in data centers, and I think they may have been one of them that did it. They had a cooling problem, and someone came up with the idea that, well, let's put the tile right here by this column because right there is the thermostat. So they only measured the temperature in one place, and so their numbers look better, but they were still having failures. They have done nothing to improve the cooling. So, but that's the kind of stuff that was really happening in these data centers at the time. Anyway, so 3 months later, I get on the plane, and I'm like, oh God,
hope this works.
I'm going to go into this den of all these executives. I'm there all by myself, right? And they're like, Christian, I walk in. There's a stack. Back then, it was dot matrix printed. The paper that keeps continuous paper, stack of temperatures and everything. And they said, well, Christian, Belady-san, we've done what you said, and here's what we found. And they show me all the results, and they go, what we found is there's really no change in temperatures in anything we've done. And I'm like, okay, that's okay. I don't see why that's a problem. So all the temperatures they said are within a degree of what they were before, plus or minus. And I'm like, great. And then they go, however, there's a problem. Come into the data center with us. And I go in, and they go,
power or something.
Go in this aisle. I go, wow, this is the cold aisle. Feels great. Go in this other aisle. It's very hot. I'm like, oh, this is great. They actually did what we said. Right. And they followed the best practices that Chris and I had put together. And they said, this is the problem. I go, what's the problem? No one wants to work behind the computers. So we're going to change it back. I'm like, what? I go, no, this is much more efficient.
Oh, they just were reversing it.
But they're like, the temperatures are the same. I go, but this is much more efficient. And they go, well, we have no way of measuring that. And that, of course, hit me right here, right in the center. And there, I'm thinking to myself, I have to be able to prove to them that this is more efficient. And so on the plane ride back from Tokyo, I'm just sitting there going, this is ridiculous. They are more efficient. Intuitively, they're more efficient, but they're going to change it back because some people are uncomfortable about the temperature, which certainly is a problem, but I want it to be an informed decision that they know what they're giving up. And so I'm just sitting there and I'm going, but the problem is in that 3 months, they have twice the number of computers also. So I can't just look at the power draw because they have more stuff in there. So I can't tell them it's more efficient or not. And I'm like, what could I come up with? And so at 36,000 feet, somewhere over the Pacific, I came up with this concept of looking at that ratio and called it power usage effectiveness. And by the time I landed, I had this freaking metric.